got. And the third image is someone that actually does.
That one.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so I'm kind of going to do an unconference thing by admitting I'm not that prepared, because we've just done 2 really massive events that just, the last one was yesterday, and I guess we haven't finished yet because this is the 3rd thing that's all happened at the same time. So I've stolen my son's keynote PowerPoint. And he's refused to be a prompt for me today that I could hide behind. He's over there. He says, no, Mum, I'm not doing it. You know, can you give away Femi, just so I can get my own back at you? There, he's over there, Femi. And let's have a look. We'll go to the first one. So I've got to talk about Young Coders community and open source. I have to keep remembering what I'm meant to be talking about. Okay, so we've been going for about 5 or 6 years, and we've been running coding events for young people in the community. We're kind of like in the informal sector. We don't like working through schools because a lot of our young coders have had hard times at schools, and in terms of projects about coding and STEM tend to kind of be focused on high achievers in schools, and there's a lot of young people that are really into coding and technology, but they kind of feel like it's not for them. It's for those other people that get selected to do these amazing special projects and competitions. So we're very much community orientated because we feel like we have more impact. And yeah, so I guess, Femi, my son, well, me actually, I'll start with me. I kind of did a bit of computer stuff at school. I look back and I remember not understanding it very much. I remember losing my assignments, you know, at last minute. Do you remember those discs that you had to save your assignments on, and like losing everything and having to start all over again? So I don't really have that much of a positive experience of computer science and things. And I can remember just not getting binary at all. But I'm a mother of 2 young boys, very active, dynamic young boys. And I did hear about coding coming back into the curriculum. And, you know, I'm an educator. I work at Lambeth College as a dyslexia specialist. I've worked there for 13, 14, 15 years. I started off teaching motorcycle mechanics because I really liked it. And I did a course there, and they asked me to stay on to teach. So, you know, that's where I started. But actually, my real love is like engaging with young people and helping them to kind of to do things that, like, I guess a lot of people who did motorcycle mechanics thought that they didn't have to read and write, so they could do it. And but you know, nowadays when you do courses at college, you have to do English and maths, and you have to be able to write and go through all these, you know, MVQ courses and do all the paperwork. And I can remember doing this motorcycle course myself and having to explain to all the other young people, because I was older, about the electronics session that we just had and facilitating them. And I have dyslexia myself, and I thought, you know what, when they asked me to come and teach the motorcycle mechanics course, I really enjoyed that because I found lots of multisensory ways of teaching things. And then I went on to study to become a dyslexia specialist. So I've always had that background of inclusion and just helping other people have a good, positive learning experience. So I guess with my 2 boys, it's no different. New coding was coming up, and I knew Femi would probably be interested in it when he was about 5 or 6. And I decided that we'd do this journey together. So we'll learn about this coding and technology, but we'll do it together. I'm a mum, I'm a working mum. So if I do something outside my work, it has to kind of involve the kids as well. So we found out about coding, We found out that Femi was too young to go to many of the courses when he was 5, robotics courses. It was for older kids. And I found out about STEM. I went to the National STEM Centre, did something to do with maths, because I used to teach maths as well. And someone told me about going to a jam, you know, like a Raspberry Jam session linked to Raspberry Pi. So I took Femi there. It was really good. And they told me about Raspberry Pi Foundation. Do you guys know about that? Yeah. And I managed to wangle my way on a Pi Academy course. Even though I teach maths and I'm a dyslexia specialist, I got onto this Pi Academy course, 2-day course I did. And when I got home, I taught and showed my son, Femi, everything that I learned over those 2 days. I joined Twitter for the first time because we were tweeting pictures from a Pi directly to Twitter, so I had to join Twitter. And at the end of it, I was like, "Yay, I got this Pi, I'm a Pi educator." And I tweeted it out, and within, I don't know, half an hour, someone said, "Hey, Grace, you're from London, can you come and do a workshop at one at the Covent Garden Jam?" I'm like, "What?" Okay. Saturday, they said. And I said, "Oh, okay." The course finished on Wednesday, and I thought they meant a week on Saturday, but no, they actually meant that Saturday. And I said, "Oh, I don't really know anything about code. I haven't got a background in code. 2 days. But if I can bring my son, we'll do a workshop together." You know, a physical computing workshop, we'll do it, you know. We went, and that really was the beginning. We went out there, we said, "We can't promise anything. We'll run the workshop. We don't know who will learn anything, whether anything would work, but if you want us, we'll come and join you." And that was us, the beginning part of us joining that community. And we've been going 5 or 6 years. And one of the nicest things is that my son, Femi, he has Tourette's syndrome. And he said, "I love hacking Minecraft. You know, on the Raspberry Pi, you can hack Minecraft, you can use Python." He said, "I love this, Mum, I really love this. But my friends in my Tourette's group would love it as well, and they wouldn't be able to go. They wouldn't go to a public event because of their Tourette's. Can we set up our own Raspberry Jam?" And I don't know where this came from. I just said, "Yeah, sure, let's go for it." You know, and I just say, here we are 5 years later, and we've run hundreds and hundreds of workshops. We've kind of been abroad. Femi went to, well, both of us went to Bangladesh and taught street kids to code. We've been to America, you know, we've been to many places, and we've worked and inspired with lots of other people. Oh yeah, Hack Horsham, see, because dyslexia, you're on the spotlight, you forget things. Hack Horsham, we've been with them, we've been down doing things. But what we've been doing is, we set up South London Raspberry Jam, and it was autism and Tourette's friendly, and we just welcomed young people. And I think what has worked for us is that it was inspired by Femi, by a young person, and him wanting to share his love for coding and hacking with other young people. And we've had that as the center of our ethos. We really are about inclusion and young people. And anything that we do, it has to be inspired from the young people themselves. And what we've done is this thing about disability, you know, that someone spoke and mentioned earlier on. I see it as neurodiversity difference, and to be honest, it's a positive thing. So our events are really inclusive. They're really fun. We listen to our young people, we listen to the parents. We try our best to get around things. We're not experts in autism or anything. We just know ourselves, and we try to get to know the people that we come and do jams with. And it's just worked really well. And I think because of that inclusion, it's really an amazing community that we've been building. And so it's just really brilliant. And I think without that inclusiveness, it wouldn't actually be the same. And without Femi wanting to share his love of coding with others, him as a person, as a coder, as a young ambassador, wouldn't happen. So it's, to be honest, it's such a gift. And we love, when we do things in the community, we get so much back that it's just totally worth it. It's such a good thing. It's not, we don't just give, we actually get quite a lot back from others. So, we've been going for 5-6 years. We love the coding community. We're really immersed in it. We do a lot of networking. We go to lots of different events. We kind of quite often go out of our comfort zone. So I've been going to some Python Pint events, even though I know very little Python, and felt very kind of out of my comfort zone as a woman who's kind of doesn't know too much tech, and to go right there in the middle of it. And I've been really pleasantly surprised because it's a really welcoming community, and just networking with people who I met 5 years ago, I still kind of meet and see and network with, and it's been really good. So stealing Femi's PowerPoint, I'm just going to make some points about this. So what's been really important for us is looking at technology and coding. Just going to workshops, kind of not very much. You know, it's quite passive, isn't it? You go to a workshop, you do the worksheet, and then you go home. You know, that's not really a very extending thing. What we like to look at as well is look at how you can build enterprise, how you can engage with it in terms of careers, you know, or how you can have a dialogue about the impact of technology and things like that. So for Femi, he went to Bangladesh and taught young coders how to code. He actually taught 220 young people to code. Our aim was for 100. And it was mad. So many internet problems, different environments, lots of, you know, university students, young people with autism that made it harder for them to actually use the computer. Just amazing people, and it was such a privilege. But when we came back, Femi said, God, I've taught code to so many different people, and we kind of realized that he had a skill set, and he's such an entrepreneurial person. We said, well, you know what? You've been doing this, running workshops, teaching people. Why don't we set up a business? And so he actually set up his own business. It's been going for about a year and a half. And he's been running workshops, robot workshops, coding workshops in the corporate environment, to people in the public sector. You know, different people ask for workshops. And if they're not a community group or they're not a charity, then we actually charge for those events. And we work very hard at making sure that they're tailor-made to the clients. So we've been working in terms of enterprise. Femi had a blog right from the beginning of when we set up South London Raspberry Jam 5-6 years ago. So he's been blogging since he was 9. And he turned that blog into a proper WordPress.com website, which is really hard to migrate, actually. He got a bit of help there, but, you know, he still had to do it. And he's just been doing really well. And I think it's very important that young people need to think about that, about enterprise, about when we go and people ask for workshops, if it's a corporate company, then, and it's for a marketing purpose, then we have a rate, you know, and just because Femi's young, he should still value his skills and his abilities. Because if he doesn't, and I don't as a mother, then no one else is going to, you know. So, and it was really great because when we were here last year, I got talking to some of the women that came to the event, and they were like, Grace, if you do anything with a corporate company, make sure you ask for what's the rate, what's your budget, and that was really helpful last year. It's made a real difference. So we've been doing things with corporate companies. We've been running events for different communities. We reach out and do a lot of outreach for different communities. Femi has been running, you know, he ran Hackathemo kind of boot camps. And he did one, have you heard of Luke Street, Barclays? Rise, that's it. Barclays Rise. So Femi ran a workshop there for a week. It was sold out, and he made a tiny profit, didn't you? Pretty good profit. But it was really nice because then he brought some robot parts so that he could run a robot workshop in the community. So he just kind of come round back into the community again. So he's done 2 of those, and they're all sold out, but they're so exhausting to run, and he's only 12, 13, that we don't do so many anymore. But if he wanted to, he could do that, but actually he he really enjoys doing keynote talks. Like he did one for Red Hat in San Francisco last year. There's 7,000 delegates at the summit, and he did a keynote about, actually this slide, I've stolen from him, but he did that about young coders and community, and it was brilliant. But he worked for about 4 or 5 months with the Red Hat team, the creative team, to work out what he was about and what Red Hat were and where do they meet and what the audience wanted or would need. And he crafted with Red Hat an amazing keynote talk that we're all very proud of. But it also, we learned about open source and about what Red Hat was about, and we realized that actually we have the similar kind of ethos around community and keeping things open source. Any of our workshops we do, it's all open source. We really, really try and do things that are free. All our events in the community are free, and we support other community events. So Hack Horsham have asked Femi a few times, come down and do a workshop, and we will definitely do that for them. And Dragon Hall, Southend Jam. So we run, and they will come and help us. They might run a workshop for us. It works very, very nicely, actually. So let's go to the next one. So, Femi, I have to admit, this is Femi's talk, right? 3 things that he found were really important about being young coders and community and open source and being successful and getting out there. And he's saying that we need to reach out and collaborate with people, other different communities, with schools as well. Many different people to collaborate with them. It's so good. It's so enriching. And if you talk about accessibility, we have to go out and find our collaborations as well. Don't just wait for people to come to us. We'll try and go out and forge some type of relationship so that sometimes we can do workshops in people's own communities rather than them having to come to us, and then try and make a bit of a network so then we can try and encourage people to come to our events that we run. Really think it's important if you want to have a maximum impact, you've got to partner with enterprise. So we've been working, we ran a young Femi and his other South London Raspberry Jammers, all around his age, developed created a conference. They did a Young Coders conference. They organised a conference at the Tate. Have any of you heard about the Tate Exchange? They did some programs that are mixing art and technology and like pushing the boundaries of what you do. So they invited Femi to be a Tate associate. So we got given 2 days at the Tate. And they were like, okay, what are you going to run and what are you going to do? And it's interesting because we weren't given any money, but they were like, what are you going to do? And we're like, well, we're a community, we have little money. And I think what the young coders decided was, well, it's got to be a give and take. It's got to be something. So what we did was, in the end, they decided they wanted some CPD training on day 1, and then they would deliver a celebration of Code Day, for Tate and day 2, rather than giving out, all right, and not getting very much back. And we were thinking about the ideas about value. The young coders have to value themselves. And so we organised this Young Coders Conference for 12 young coders between the ages of 10 and 16 that had been running coding events themselves in the community. And it was fabulous. We got 12 young coders from around the country, including Northern Ireland. It was great. IBM, our Lemmy was there, came and joined us. GitHub sponsored it to help us pay for the accommodation and travel and things. Microbit Foundation came down, and what we did, have you heard of CAS as well? They do teacher training, computer science. They came and did a proper CPD that they would do with teachers for the kids, because these kids have been running workshops and they need to have that critical evaluation of how they're doing. They need to do that circle, try something out. How does it go? Get feedback, change it a bit. And just because they're young doesn't mean they don't need that. They're teaching other people and sharing their knowledge. They need to learn how to do that and how to reflect that. So we had a whole session looking at computational thinking, how you deliver things, how you scaffold them. And then we came with the Microbit Foundation, and they did a session with the kids, their technical team, and they had to come up with 4 workshops, develop 4 brand new workshops, looking at IoT and physical computing and networking, and one other area I can't remember. And they developed 4 workshops in a day. It was amazing what they did. And then the next day they delivered them to the public. I think there was a lot of people, like over 200 people there. It was really packed. And I think they delivered workshops for 120 people, you know, these young coders. And they'd created it the day before. For anyone, that would be a nightmare. But, you know, they did brilliantly well. But the thing that they said they wanted was they wanted a community. So we was asking, did you enjoy yourself? What would you like now? And they said, we really want like a meetup where we can socialize together and network, because sometimes it's a bit isolating when you're learning to code and your school doesn't appreciate you because you're not the right fit and you don't do well in these subjects that they expect you to do well in. And what happened was they said, actually, we love being together. Can we be together for a week? We don't want just 2 days. It's been so good. A place where they can just be themselves, you know. And we didn't quantify what that self was. We didn't say people who neurodiversity or like this. We didn't define it. It was just ourselves. And so the next stage was for them to develop Young Coders MeetUp. And kind of from our experience with Red Hat and talking about what open source is, an open organization, we like that model, which was about being adaptable, being very open, being flexible, which is kind of my problem because I'm a bit of a control freak, so I still got to work on that, or someone else has to work on that area. But there's certain key things that you need to be to have an open community. And we decided we're going to take some of those things into this Young Coders MeetUp. It's the young coders themselves from the ages of 10 to 16 defining their own community, defining their mission statement of what they want, 3 key things that they want to do, all right, and then working out themselves what they want to be learning, how they want to do it, and who they would like to collaborate with. So we spent 3 months with one of the parents was an Agile coach, Prima. She's amazing, and she did an Agile coaching session with them in the first month. And in the second month, we went on to try and define more distinctly what it would look like, a Young Coders Meetup would look like, which incidentally was pizza. Lots of pizza. We couldn't do beer because they're too young, but lots of fizzy pop and things like that. They wanted to have that pizza. Femi was saying to me he was a bit jealous because I could go out to events, you know, at Skills Matters and have pizza and beer while I'm coding. He's like, that's not fair, Mum, I want to do that. I was like, so definitely having that social place where you can have pizza and enjoy yourself, but also that idea of choosing and being flexible about what they want to learn in those sessions. So we've been based at Red Hat at the Open Innovation Centre, which has been fabulous. So it's in a really kind of corporate, cool, techie, agile environment that we've been doing these workshops. And the very last bit of development was to do a run-through. And I've been to a conference with Microbit Foundation about looking at equality and gender. And it's something that's really, I think personally is really important. But I've got 2 sons, you know? So it's kind of interesting, how do you deal with that? And what we decided was that we do want to work on that gender parity, and we did have more boys than girls at the event. So we said, in December, we're going to do a run-through, and you have to invite a female friend, and you've got to invite a male friend. And what happened was, a few people, like Femi, my own son, was like, oh, Mum, I don't know any girls, you know, he goes to a boys' school, oh, I don't know. And I was like, Femi, right, when we talk about inclusion and diversity, we can't just talk about it and tweet about it. We've got to do it on a personal level. We've got to make a personal kind of action to what we believe in. We can't just talk about it and then in our personal lives not do it. So he managed to think about who we might invite. And I was so pleased that, because in December we had 50-50 boys, girls come to our event. It just changed things. It was really transformative. Then we did our launch in January. We did machine learning. And again, I think there were slightly more girls than boys. I'm very proud of this. We have two people with Tourette's. So Femi's got Tourette's, and we have a young girl coder who's got Tourette's as well. We've got a few people who've got autism. I don't know how many, because we don't really make a big deal about it, but I know there's at least 2 people with autism. We have a good mix of BME mix, and we have a deaf young coder that's just joined us, which I'm so proud about, because sometimes when you don't have a personal connection to an area of difficulty, it's not even difficult, is it, but of difference that has an impact, an impairment. If you don't have that yourself, you kind of forget about it sometimes. So very, very pleased that we're starting to extend beyond our knowledge, but beyond our own personal experiences. And that's the thing that we've got to work on, thinking about accessibility from areas that are hidden to us, that don't affect our lives, because it's no point reproducing yourselves in your community. You've got to really reach out, and there's things that we've got to really work on. So it's been fantastic. So January, we did something about machine learning. Yes, we got a 49%, so we've got our gender parity still there, and it made everything feel different. It just felt kind of really nice and fun, and I think for girls it's quite hard. I don't know if it's true, but I think it's quite hard sometimes to kind of stake your space and say, this is me. And even more so if you're in a minority. But if you're in a 50-50 environment, I do feel that it's a bit different. And we can work at it from a nicer, more comfortable place. So we're really into partnering with enterprise, because that enables things to happen. It makes it real. We do environments that are work environments, and we've got young people whose parents don't know anything about code, and we've had to really convince them to come along, and they've just had the most awesome time. And it just feels more accessible then for the parents and for the kids to think, do you know what, I could do this, I could be in a place like this. And remember, when we talk about technology and jobs in technology, they're not all these high-end. There's kind of entrance level jobs that are out there as well. And I hate it when we focus on this top level stuff. There's lots of different levels. Yeah, really important just to organise. And I think part of it's about a can-do attitude. But that does involve a lot of organising, a lot of self-belief, and persisting when you have a few difficulties and setbacks, just to keep going. So that's the second important thing, is working with the enterprise, self-organising, and, what did I say? And reaching out and collaborating. So they're the 3 key things that have helped us have more of an impact. Going back here, Young Coders MeetUp, I've told you a bit about that. I think we're doing really well. We're reflecting to see how it goes, and, you know, it's early days. It's once a month, and it's run by the Young Coders themselves. Yep, this is one of our events that we did in the December one. And here, being persistent can make you're pioneering force in the community. If you go out there and you're innovating and you just go for it without listening too much, so you can't do that, or you've got to do this first, or you need this. If you kind of ignore it, bear it in mind, but you just go out there and just be persistent with what you want to achieve, it actually involves lots of hard work, basically. There's no magical thing to it. It's just loads and loads of hard work to make things happen. Just to say, when opportunities come up, it's really important to just take them. So Red Hat had an event yesterday. They asked Femi, my son, Hacker Femi, to develop, as a young person, to develop their curriculum for a coding event for girls. They've been doing it in America, and they came over yesterday. We did an event at the Tate, and it was their first international collab event for girls, but they asked Femi as a young coder to develop it. It was great, he did that. But what Femi did was he shared his platform with the girl coders from my community. So they came and worked with him. They were part of a team together, and they were the mentors, and they ran the whole event themselves. And it was just really amazing. And we hope to do more of that in the future. So what I just want to say is, support young people to develop those skills that you've already got, right? Always think about inclusion and diversity and reaching out, because when you reach out, people will tell you about who they are and what barriers they might have, and you work out together how you might overcome them. And I think it's very important if children self-direct their learning, and we then just act as a support to that, it's really important, because they're kind of like, when they're together, they're networking already, and those are the skills you need in this field that's changing all the time. And then that idea that they belong there, they can do it, and they can do it together, and it's all about collaboration as well. So that team that went to Collab yesterday, it was a collaboration with Red Hat, but also between themselves. They delivered an amazing event. I think that's it, really. Thank you.
It's like when you wake up in the morning,